What's up, guys? Welcome back to Scott's Week in Sports. This is week number 21. And before we get into my college football picks, there are some other sports that are going around right now that are relevant. And
besides football?
Yeah, absolutely. With the Major League playoffs starting next week. And let's go down the two wildcard games and who we think will move on to the second round. First game out is the Yankees hosting the Twins on Tuesday night. Give me the home Yankees to beat the Twins and move on to the second round to play the Indians.
I think the Twins are going to upset the Yankees and move on. I think the Yankees are over.
Next up at Chase Field, it will be the Arizona Diamondbacks, probably playing against the Colorado Rockies. We'll see how that goes until Sunday. That'll come down to the wire, but I think Colorado's going to get the spot. Give me Paul Goldschmidt, J.D. Martinez, and the very high-powered Arizona Diamondbacks offense to get the win over the Rockies.
And I agree with you. If they're playing at home, Arizona wins.
And the final non-football pick of the weekend, Orlando City will be hosting FC Dallas tomorrow. Me and my dad will be there. And I'll be taking Orlando City to get the win. If they play like they did on Wednesday night, that should be a good game for them to win. And I think they get it in front of their home fans for the second to last time of the year. They get the win.
I agree. Orlando City's on a roll after a 6-1 victory last game. I think they will win at least 3-1.
And now on to the college football picks. We have two top 25 games tonight in college football action. First game out will be in Miami, heading into Durham, North Carolina to take on the Duke Blue Devils. If this was basketball, it would be much, much different. But because it's football, give me the Canes to get the win over the Duke.
I think Miami's been under the radar this year. Duke's improved program, but they're not good enough to handle the Canes.
Yeah. Next up, one of the best games of the weekend. Number 5, USC heading in to Pullman, Washington to take on the number 16 ranked Washington State Cougars. Two of the best quarterbacks in the Pac-12, in my opinion, Sam Darnold and Luke Falk. But give me Sam Darnold and USC to get the win over Washington State tonight in a close game.
I think USC's defense is going to hurt them this week, and I think Washington State's going to pull the upset. Mark it.
That's going to be a good game.
Mark it.
Next up, Northwestern heading into Madison to take on the Wisconsin Badgers. Give me Wisconsin to start 1-0 in the Big Ten and move to 4-0 on the season. Give me Wisconsin over Northwestern.
I agree. Wisconsin's going to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Wisconsin gets this win.
Next up, South Florida heading in to Greenville, North Carolina to take on the East Carolina Pirates. Give me Charlie Strong and his USF Bulls to look good again this week. And USF continues their undefeated season to get to 2-0 in conference play.
USF has one of the easiest schedules in the country. USF continues to roll to beat East Carolina by 2 touchdowns.
Next up, Vanderbilt heading in to Gainesville. It should be a hot one this weekend in Gainesville. A new kickoff in Gainesville this weekend. It should be a nice hot day in Gainesville this weekend. Give me Luke Del Rio to get the start, and give me the home. Luke Del Rio gets the start, and give me the home Gators over Vanderbilt.
First team that scores a touchdown wins this game. This could be like 13 total points. Take the under on the betting line, but the Gators get a close win, 10-3.
Next up, the Indiana Hoosiers heading in to University Park to take on Penn State. Penn State just barely survived an upset last week over Iowa, so give me Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley to bounce back this week and take Penn State in an easy win over Indiana.
I agree Penn State's going to win. I think they'll struggle a little bit against Indiana, having such a close game, a very physical game, and a very emotional game against Iowa. I think they'll win, but it'll be closer than people expect.
Next up, the Georgia Bulldogs heading in to Knoxville to take on the Tennessee Volunteers. Give me Georgia and that red-hot Georgia Bulldog defense and the running game to get the win over Tennessee.
Not so fast, my friend. I think this week Tennessee's going to pull off the upset. Tennessee has been losing a lot of close games. I think they will win this one against Georgia.
Next up, Murray State heading in to the Papa John's Cardinal Stadium to take on Lamar Jackson and Louisville. Give me Louisville by at least 3 touchdowns in this game over Murray State.
Louisville cheats better than any other college in the country. Louisville, with their cheating ways, will win this ballgame.
Next up, Miami, Ohio heading in to Notre Dame, Indiana to take on the Fighting Irish. After that loss to Georgia, I didn't know Notre Dame was going to be good. It seems like they are, so give me the Fighting Irish to get a home win over Miami, Ohio this weekend.
Miami, Ohio, or Miami, Florida?
Miami, Ohio.
Notre Dame wins this one, and they win it big.
Next up, the Mississippi State Bulldogs heading in to Auburn, Alabama, and Jordan Hare Stadium to take on the Auburn Tigers. I think Gus Malzahn's one of the best coaches in the SEC, and I think that is one of the reasons why I would take Auburn to get the win at home over Mississippi State.
I agree. I think Mississippi State's a very, very good home team, but on the road, they're an average team. I think it's going to be close, but I like Auburn in this one.
Next up, the Detroit Trojans heading in to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to take on Ed Orgeron and his LSU Tigers. Give me Darius Geis and LSU to get the win over Troy.
Oh boy, Troy's in trouble. I like LSU to win this one by at least 3 touchdowns.
Next up, the Ohio State Buckeyes heading in to New Jersey to take on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Give me the road Buckeyes over Rutgers on Saturday.
Ohio State continues their weak schedule. They win this one big.
Next up, the game of the week. College Game Day will be there tomorrow. Number 2, Clemson heading into Blacksburg, Virginia to take on the number 14 ranked Virginia Tech Hokies. Give me Kelly Bryant and Clemson to get the win for Dabo and improve their record again to 5-0 on the season and 3-0 in conference.
I'm going with another upset here. I think Virginia Tech is one of those underrated teams in the country. I think Virginia Tech's going to win by field goal.
Yeah, if they can stop them, I think that would be their again. If they can find a way to stop that offense. Next up, the Oklahoma State Cowboys under head coach Mike Gundy head in to Lubbock, Texas to take on Texas Tech. Give me the road Cowboys over the home Red Raiders in this game. Big over Texas Tech.
Cowboys lost last week, right?
Yeah, they lost to TCU last
I
week.
think they're going to be angry. They're going to want revenge, and they're going to play big time win by 3 touchdowns.
Next up, Ole Miss heading in to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to take on Nick Saban and his Alabama Crimson Tide. Give me the home Tide over Ole Miss.
This is not your Ole Miss team from last year, the year before. They're going to get beat pretty bad by 3 touchdowns.
Next up, San Diego State heading in. No, my bad. Northern Illinois heading in to San Diego to take on San Diego State. Give me the home San Diego State Aztecs to get the win over Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois did go in and beat Nebraska.
Yep.
So they can do it again, but I think this week they're going to lose in a close one against San Diego State.
Yeah, watch out for Rashad Penny. This kid is definitely one of my Heisman front runners right now, and I think he will blow up in this game. 3 touchdowns for the kid against Northern Illinois. And the non-top 25 game of the week, our hometown UCF Knights will be hosting the Memphis Tigers. This game was supposed to happen a couple weeks ago, but thanks to Hurricane Irma, that game gets pushed back to this week. And I think that our student section is going to be the reason UCF gets to win at home over Memphis.
And it's not a top 25 game this week, but after UCF beats Memphis, they will be a top 25 team next week.
Now on to the NFL games. After a good game last week, the Green Bay Packers got the win over the Chicago Bears last week. So, first game up, 9:30 a.m. Get your fantasy rosters ready early on Sunday morning, as it will be the road New Orleans Saints heading in to London to take on the Miami Dolphins. I have been picking the Dolphins all week, so I will stick with my decision here. Give me Jay Cutler and the Dolphins to get the win over the Saints.
I think 2 pretty average to below average NFL teams, but I think Miami's defense is better than New Orleans. I like Miami in a close one.
Next up, the Buffalo Bills, who are surprisingly 2-1 on the season so far, and they head into Atlanta in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome to take on the Atlanta Falcons. I think this game is going to be closer than people think, but I think Atlanta's going to squeak one out here and get the win over the Bills.
I think this is at Buffalo. I like Buffalo, but this is in Atlanta. I'm going to take the Falcons.
Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals heading in to First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio to take on the Cleveland Browns. I picked the Browns last week to get the win over the Colts. That would have been the only win they could have gotten this year, but I'm going to take Andy Dalton and Cincinnati to finally get a win this year and improve to 1-3 on the year.
This could win the award of the crappiest game of the week. I think Cleveland Browns win this game. That's how bad Cincinnati is.
Next up, the LA Rams head in to AT&T Stadium, Jerry's World, to take on the Dallas Cowboys. I think Zeke and Dak are back on track, and I think that the Cowboys get a home win over the Rams.
I agree. Since they're playing at Dallas, I like Dallas, but in a close one over the Rams.
Next up, the Detroit Lions head in to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. No Sam Bradford again this week for the Vikings. So that is the reason why I'll be taking the road Lions over the Vikings on Sunday.
As long as the Lions can avoid the turnovers like the Bucs had last week, I think the Lions should win this game, but it'll be a close one because Minnesota's defense will keep it close.
Next up, Cam Newton and his Carolina Panthers head into Foxborough to take on Tom Brady and the Patriots. Give me Tom Brady and the home Pats to get the win. Going into a short week next week, I think they get a good win at home. But be careful, Pats, because you guys got to come to Tampa next week. So give me the Pats to get a win over the Panthers.
Patriots are not as good as people thought they were going to be, especially on the defensive side of the ball, but the Panthers are bad as well. I think that the Patriots win this one.
Next up, the 2-1 Jacksonville Jaguars head into MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Jets, who pulled off one of the bigger upsets of the week last week after beating the Miami Dolphins. I think the Jags are going to get pressure on the quarterback, and the Jags get the win in this game with ease.
I don't know if the Jags can put two good games together. I think the Jags are going to come down after last week, and they're going to lose to New York at New York.
Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers heading in to M&T Bank Stadium to take on the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Flacco looked absolutely horrendous last week against Jacksonville, but I think he's going to bounce back this week. Give me the home Ravens to upset the road Steelers.
Interesting. That's probably a good pick because in the NFL you play one good week, one bad week, but I'm still going to pick Pittsburgh to win this game.
Next up, the Tennessee Titans heading in to NRG Stadium to take on the Houston Texans. A battle of two of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, Marcus Mariota and Deshaun Watson. But I'm going to take the experience of Marcus Mariota to get the win in Houston against Deshaun and the Texans.
I think the Texans are very improved over 2 weeks ago. I think Texans at home get the win.
Okay. Next up, the San Francisco 49ers, who impressed me last week, but still lost, and they head in to University of Phoenix Stadium to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Give me Carson Palmer, Larry Fitzgerald, and that Cardinal offense to get it done against the Niners on Sunday.
Close game. The Niners have played everyone close for the most part, but I still think the Cardinals will get this win at home.
Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles heading in to LA in the StubHub Center to take on the Los Angeles Chargers. Carson Wentz has impressed me all year, so give me Carson Wentz and the road Eagles to get the win over the Chargers.
I think the Eagles may be one of the 5 to 7 best teams in the NFL. I like the Eagles to win this one on the road.
Next up, the New York Giants heading into Raymond James Stadium to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buc fans, I'm so sorry to do this, but this is a must-win for Eli Manning and the Giants. I don't think we need this game as much, so give me the road Giants in a close one.
Wow. I disagree with my friend here. I'm going to go with the Bucs. They had a stinging loss last week. They're going to come back motivated, ready to win. I think the Bucs get this one at home.
I hope I'm wrong there. Next up, the Oakland Raiders heading in to Sports Authority Stadium to take on the Denver Broncos. Give me the home Broncos and that very good Broncos defense to get some pressure on Derek Carr, force him into maybe a turnover or two. Broncos get a home win over the Raiders.
I cannot figure out the NFL. This is a tough one to pick. I can go either way on this one. I think, though, I'm leaning towards the home Denver Broncos will get this one.
Next up, the Indianapolis Colts heading into CenturyLink Field to take on a bouncing back Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. Give me the home Seahawks to win by at least 3 touchdowns over the Colts.
I think this is going to be an ugly game. I don't think either team has a very good offense, but with Seattle at home, I think they get the win.
Next up, Monday Night Football, as the Washington Redskins head in to Arrowhead Stadium to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Give me Kareem Hunt and the Chiefs to get the win over the road Redskins.
I think these are 2 of the 5 best teams in the NFL right now. I think if this was at Washington, I'd be taking Washington, but since it's an Arrowhead, I'm going to take the Chiefs, but in a very, very close game, probably by 3.
And that will do it for today's episode of Scott's Week in Sports Today, ladies and gentlemen. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and leave a nice friendly comment down below. And I will see you guys next week right here on Scott's Week in Sports, right here on YouTube.
Go
See you
Bucs!
later, guys.